some additional thoughts on the diminished scale bass dominant chords 1, 3, 5, 6 on A. So there are a few additional things that can round the system out a bit. And one of the first ones is the concept of the dominant chords. The straight dominant chords, we have an E flat 7 here. So we have B flat, G, E flat, and D flat. Voice exchange gives us D flat and B flats swapping out. So this becomes D flat, G, E flat, and B flat. Nearby in the area, of course, we have the F sharp 7, C sharp, F sharp, E, and B flat or A sharp. Voice swap on the outer voices. And we have the F sharp 7 here. A sharp, F sharp, E, and C sharp, and of course with a flat 5, which can lead us then to C7, really, with a B flat in the bass, or with the C in the bass. So here's C, G, E, and B flat swapping voices, which we have B flat, G, E, and C, and of course we can also, it's a little stretchy, but our A7 is there. So we know that we have the 4 dominant chords in the area. We have voice exchange that we can use, which gives way to this kind of thirds movement. So, these sort of sounds can be moved in minor thirds, and those are just straight dominant 7 chords. And they can be transformed as well. For instance, here's A7, C sharp, A, E, and F sharp going to an A13, E goes to F sharp, and then the flat 9. A goes to B flat, so this is very common 13 flat 9 for A. If we move the bottom voice from C sharp to E flat, we can see we have our E flat 7 sharp 9. It can go to E, so any notes in the scale will work, and we can see that it can be transformed. Here's the C version of it with a tritone, etc. So all of these voicings can transform themselves, and they're all relatable within the diminished scale. For example, here's the one of the earlier voicings, the A flat 9, A, E, C sharp, and B flat, moving in 6 on the top voices, going from a perfect 5th to a minor 3rd, B flat, D flat, C, and A. So we're going down in root motion, but we're going up in terms of the general sound. So that can be movable in minor thirds as well. A novel relationship such as this is interesting because normally we think of the major third or the tritone resolving to the major third. So for instance, an A flat and a D or a G sharp and a D implies E7, which would go to A and C sharp, implying an A major. But in this sense, it's the opposite with these chords in this scale. So this is an A, C sharp, E flat, and B flat. That's the A7 with a flat 9 and a sharp 11. And the resolution is actually the opposite way. So A flat, D, E flat, and B flat sounds like an A flat, sharp 9. And if we move that in minor thirds, we can hear it. E flat to D, F sharp to F. So we have an interesting relationship there, and the voices can exchange inside and the middle as well. To A instead of A flat, D, and E flat and B flat, and go A flat, E flat, D, and B flat, or perhaps to a C. Another novel relationship with parallel intervals, and there are many of these that can be constructed, is the concept of fixed intervals on 2 different voices versus another 2 different voices. For instance, this is an A7 sharp 9, C sharp, G, C, and A. The tritone moves down a semitone, and the 6th moves up. We have a C with an F sharp over C. Then we do the same thing. The tritone moves to B flat and E. The top 2 voices move from C sharp and B flat, or D flat and B flat, to E flat and C. And of course we're familiar with that. B flat, E, E flat and C. And then we do it one more time. Bottom voices move to A and E flat. Top voices move to E and C sharp. So it's as though we have an A7. We've got F sharp over C, so like a C sound. C7 sharp 9 sound, back to an A sound. And of course resolving maybe to an A flat. And this can be moved in minor thirds as well. So that's an instance of sixths ascending through the scale and tritones descending through the scale in the string families. And the last thing we'll look at is the whole tone relationship with the chords. So it's interesting because it's such a color difference between what we've been doing. Here's C, E, D sharp, and A, like a C13 with a sharp 9. And if we move the voices up, we move C and A to D and B flat, and we move the E to F sharp, we have the first of these whole tone sounds. And the voice exchange is interesting because we were going from C, F sharp, D, and B flat, and the outside voices can swap. B flat, F sharp, D, and C. We can transform this voicing. We can move the F sharp to E, and then the top voice moves. So we have sort of a typical whole tone-esque type sound. These voices can exchange. So we get A flat, E, D, and C from an exchange there, and we can move the top voice through the scale, and we can do it. We can move this up too. So through the transformation, the expansion of the voicings, the moving of the voicing on the A string, we can even move the G string, C, F sharp, E, and B flat can now expand to the D, C, F sharp, E, and D. Bottom voice moves to B flat, so there are a lot of different options here. And that, again, is a transformation. I took C, F sharp, E, and B flat, exchange voices, B flat, F sharp, E, and C. Additionally, again, we can backstretch. And of course, we can step off at any point and resolve to any sort of sound, really. But it gives you an idea as to what's available with the whole tone scale and the different voicings that are contained within that string family and how they can be moved. And again, it's essentially through the transformation and, of course, the outer voice motion, but the inner voice motion as well. It's very important within this. So, for instance, the C, the upper voice moves, B flat moves to D, C, F sharp, E to D to B flat, inner voice moves, middle voice moves, and then, of course, the bottom voice moves in exchange with the others. But very easy physically in these types of voicings. And very nice resolution. The whole tone scale provides some additional color with these voicings. Not only dominant substitutes, but also just chords that have the ability to join either focus voice motion or to resolve to even another type of chord that falls within a whole tone scale. For instance, this can resolve. That can resolve as well. So you have this sort of chord. And now we can do essentially the same thing. You know. So they're flexible and restless, and provide good dominant substitutes as well in the traditional sense. It's B flat, C whole tone, resolving, just as we had when we did these diminished chords, they had an interesting resolution, you know. They can resolve as well. For instance, this, which was the dominant type. So this is the C7 sharp 9, E flat with an A on top, E flat 7, sharp 9, C, and it'll resolve to a D, moving to a whole tone sound here with the inner voice to a minor sound, and then to a major 7 sharp 9 to a major 7 with a sharp 5th. So the inner voices have a chance to breathe a little bit. And that's the same thing with the whole tone sound. They can resolve with the inner voice motion moving like that as well. And that would give a general rounding out in a basic sense of the whole tone chords, but also the diminished chords that are derived from the dominant chords, I should say, that derive from the octatonic scale.